Hi, thank you for joining us for the latest episode of Discuss with Russ. I'm Russell Rivera, founder and president of Voice Wealth Management. This is episode 21, and our topic today is 2020 money, financial wellness for a new decade. For those of you tuning in for the first time, the Discuss with Russ series has been focused on helping you get through the crisis and start thinking and planning for what the world might look like as we emerge. We want to help you anticipate possible responses in society's behavior so you can be most prepared to succeed. My firm, Voice Wealth Management, primarily works with entrepreneurs, young professionals, and their families to help them get the most out of their money. While I'm a chartered financial analyst and certified financial planner, many also see me as their personal CFO and financial therapist, recognizing the psychological power of money in addition to using short-term and long-term planning to help you get the most out of every dollar you earn and use. So before we begin, so a lot of today's episode is going to be basically on a presentation I've been doing for most of the year, and I wanted to share some of that with you. So without further ado. So before we begin, I wanted to play a little video for you.
Have been made in secret players. In a moment, I'm going to give you the final Jeopardy answer. You'll have 30 seconds in which to write down the question. Be sure it is on the question. Here we go. The category is the calendar. The final Jeopardy answer is calendar dates with which the 20th century began. Good luck.
Do you think you have your answer?
All right, time's up. Let's find out who today's winner is going to be. Paul Schaefer, you were in third place with $1,100. The answer was the date with which the 20th century began, and you said the final Jeopardy question was, what was January 1, 1900? That is incorrect, I'm sorry to say. Let's see how much money you risked on that. All $1,100, and that means you wind up with zero. Next, we had Lynn Crawford with $5,000. Your answer was, or your question was, what is January 1st, 1900? How much did you risk on that incorrect question? All of it. You wind up with nothing. Our champion, I have a feeling I know how our champion played this. He started off with $9,500. Let's find out, first of all, what he thought the correct final Jeopardy question was. What is January 1, 1900? We know now that is wrong, but how much did he risk? Did he go for the whole bundle? Oh boy. What? I'm at a loss for words, but in a situation like this. Hey, folks. Easy come, easy go. Because all of our contestants wound up with nothing. We have consolation prizes for each of them. Tomorrow on Jeopardy, we'll be bringing in 3 new players to play the game. But our champion, remember, Greg is not leaving us empty-handed. He won $8,400 in cash on our last program. So until next time on Jeopardy, what is the answer? The answer. You mean, what is the question? The question is January 1, 1901. 1901. Until next time, folks. So long. See you next time.
So that was the late, great Alex Trebek, probably sometime in the 1980s. And so as we think about turning the calendar into January and this whole presentation we're going to do, this little talk we're going to do, this episode about for money for the 2020s, just remember the decade's really only just begun. So here we go, 2020 money, financial wellness for a new decade. So I want to start with a question. Can you imagine yourself in 10 years if instead of avoiding the things you know you should do, you actually did them every single day? That's powerful. And so I want you to think about that, right? In the sense of all the things that we know we should do that we put off till tomorrow. Is there anything in your mind that you say, oh, I should do this, but I don't have time today, or I just don't feel like it, or you're just not motivated enough? Think about if you did that today, and then next tomorrow you said, I need to do this, I should do it. And instead of putting it off, you did that. And every other day, think about the change that you could put into your life, the change that would effectuate on you over a period of not just 10 years, but even 1 year, right? Getting more things done, getting closer to where you actually want to be, instead of looking back and saying, man, I really should have done that. One of the things that's kind of my biggest fear in dealing with my business is so many times people come to me in their late 40s, 50 years old, maybe even later, and say, I have no money. What happened? So if you think about where you are today and think about all the things that you could be doing, and it doesn't just have to do with money, it could just have to do with health. Think about all the things you could do today, you should be doing today, but you're putting off, you're not doing today. Imagine if you did them every day for the next 10 years. How would your life change? So let's talk about using money in the new decade, in the 2020s. Using money takes a lot of different things to it, right? Money is about so many different things. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's about your team, right? It's about math. Money's right. We all know money's about dollars and cents and interest and percentages and growth and all of that. All that's math. Money's about balance. Money's about trying to put together, choices and making and figuring out, where should I use it? Where should I deploy it to get the most value out of it for me? Money's about psychology. We all have our own money experiences, and they affect how we view and use money. And of course, money is about values. Money is about illustrating, and using money is about illustrating what's important to you. And I know I kind of glossed over your team, but your team helps you figure out all those things put together. So we're going to go through this presentation. We're going to talk about your team. Of course, we could talk about the 1993 New York Mets, the worst team money could buy, with Mr. Bobby Bonilla himself. But let's talk about how people use teams to help with their money usage. The first thing is your family, right? You do it all usually in service to, or to help build your family, whatever that looks like to you, and however large or small you want to make that, right? Um, in a more traditional household, right, the husband goes out, tries to make money, or there's usually a breadwinner, goes out and tries to make money so that everybody can live the best life they have. And obviously in two-earner households, it's the same. Everybody goes out and earns money, or both the breadwinners, both parents go out to earn money so that they jointly can live the best life they can along with their kids. So, and then of course, making those choices is a conversation, right? How should the family use money? What values do you impart onto your kid about using money? How does your kid use money? Those kinds of things. Money is about family, and family helps you use the money in the best way for your family. Financial professionals and trusted advisors, right? All these people that we work with in order to help us use our money well, right? Our CPAs, our financial planners, our investment advisors, our daily money managers, online tools that we might use, our mortgage advisor, attorneys, bank employees, people at the bank. All these people are part of our financial team. If you use them, some or all or none, right? All of these people are there to help inform us how to use our money in the best way for us. Building a great team is part of that process. And of course, if you're a business owner, there are business people who help you do it for your business. And in terms of your business is your personal, right? If you're a business owner. So we think about our partners, our employees, our bookkeepers and contractors and vendors, right? Your 401k vendor, your social media marketer, all these people are trying to help you use your money in the best way possible to get the most out of it for you. It's really a lot of people who are trying to help you use your money well. So we're going to turn from building our team and understanding who's on it and thinking about who's on it to the math portion, right? This is just the base numbers and a little bit of the hard the hard science behind money. Most powerful force in the universe, is compound interest, right? We'll get into that in just a minute. But this Einstein quote shows that he really understood the concept of letting money work for you. So, as we said, money is about math. For your long-term financial health, you need to get more money than you use. And that's not in the next 6 months, that's throughout your lifetime, right? So many times people in the retirement planning business are worried about making sure their clients don't run out of money. And that doesn't just happen now. That's about how do you design your life when, let's just say, under a more traditional situation, when you're 60 and the money that you have when you may choose to move from earning to not earning, so that when you're 90 or 95 or 100, you still have money and you're not dependent on your kids or on Social Security in order to live your life, right? For your long-term financial health, you need to get more than you use, and you need to make sure that lasts over the course of your lifetime. As we saw in the last slide, we're talking about the power of compounding, right? The power of compounding is so important, and it works in two ways. Not only in terms of savings and investment to help get exponential growth, but it also can work against us in terms of debt. So if you've got high value, if you've got credit card balances or student loans that are growing in an exponential way, though not all student loans do grow exponentially, some do, many don't, wanting to make sure that you're using the power of compounding in your favor as opposed to against you to help you build wealth that you can use over the course of your lifetime. It all comes down at the same time to knowing your free cash flow. It starts there. How much money are you bringing in? How much money do you have to spend on, very basic needs? And how much can you put towards future needs and wants? Right? So it's all about understanding your free cash flow, your budget, to make sure that you're able to get the most out of your money and not in some ways panicking about how you're going to make ends meet. So money is also about balance, right? You've heard the phrase time is money. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. And that's just one way in which we can deal with time, with balance when it comes to using money. So you also have to balance income and expenses, right? Some expenses are fixed, some are not. So how do we balance the income that we have with the expenses we need to make, right? And how can we change our income and how can we change our expenses and how do we balance those two things? Because sometimes we want to spend money when we could be making it and vice versa. Wants and needs. What do you absolutely need to do with your life? So what do you need to do to make sure that you have money over a roof over your head, food in your stomach, versus what you might like to do in terms of going partying, moving, vacation, whatever that might look like for you. Today and tomorrow, right? As we've learned sort of from compound interest, every dollar you spend today means every dollar you don't have to save to build for tomorrow at another time when you also could use it, or you might need it even more than you need it today. But at the same time, we all have things we want to do today, and that requires some money in order to make that happen. And so balancing the difference between, hey, what should I do now versus what's the cost to me in terms of tomorrow is an important thing to understand and to try to balance out in a way that's right for you. Of course, if you're a business owner, business and personal, so much of being a business owner is tied up, your personal value is tied up in your business. And I'm going to use the word value a lot during this presentation. It's going to mean many different things. So I'll try to be specific as to what I mean. So so much of our self-worth when we're business owners is tied up in that business. And to some extent, we're of the opinion that we have to have money in our business and are afraid to take it out, maybe sometimes for personal use, when at the same time we could put money into, something to grow the business. Maybe some of you have read Profit First and live by that philosophy, but at the same time, there's always going to be a balance, right? What can I do with, if there's money in the business and it seems like it's there, it can be put towards something. Do I want to use it on a home improvement, or do I want to do it on potentially growing my business? It's a real challenge that a lot of business owners have to face. So money is also about psychology, right? To some extent, our brains are an integral part of what money means, right? We all have a money concept. And a lot of times that comes from our experiences. Did you grow up wealthy? Did you grow up poor? Did your parents talk about money a lot? Did they struggle? Did they not talk about it at all? Was it considered a taboo subject? Our experiences with money will affect how we view and use it. And as a result, it's important to recognize that when you're going into the conversation with someone about it, that their experience and their thoughts about what money means to them can be very different. A $20 bill that we have only has worth because we view it as having worth, right? If we all agreed tomorrow somehow that was useless, that was worthless, it would prove to be worthless. And it goes for any sort of money, whether it is the dollar bills that we have or money that we have on our debit cards versus gold, right? To some extent, it has worth, and we've all agreed that we should use that as a medium of exchange to make our transactions more efficient, right? And if we decided that was a bad way and a bad method of doing it, then we would all, that would cease to have value pretty quickly. Now, it's more important to understand that, right, in terms of our money concept and how we view money and how we let things go into our lives, things that are not monetary can affect us, right? So if I could think of a trauma, right? You're from a family where your father walked out and took all your money. That can affect you in many different ways. I did a talk with a bunch of people where we talked about some of the issues that people had with money and trying to understand people's money concept. And someone shared with the group that they never really allowed themselves to try to gain any wealth. And what wealth means might be a relative term to some people, but they never wanted to allow themselves to be monetarily successful and build wealth in any sort of way. And the reason she shared with us that was the only person she knew as a child who had any money was, in her mind, a criminal. And I later found out her abuser. And so, there is a whole real burgeoning, I'll call it, sub-industry called financial therapy that is the intersection between finance and psychology in the sense of how do traumas affect people's behavior. And so, right, if that kind of thing is an issue for you, obviously go see a real therapist as opposed to someone like myself, but also understanding that that's there can at least inform you when you're working with someone on your team to say, okay, this is an issue for me. How can I, at least in terms of logically looking at the situation, maybe make some better decisions if I can separate myself from my past experiences that were hurtful to me. So also at the end of the day, I think money is about values, right? Money is a tool that we use to illustrate our values and show what's important to us, right? If we can, right, to some point between your money and your values, you really come up with how you want to use money. And so many times I find that people who are having an issue with how they're using their money find that they're not using their money in accordance with their values. Whether it's someone who's got a lot of student debt and would like to be saving for an engagement ring, right? But they're sitting there going, how do I do this? Right? Like they might have a different issue and may have to change their plans. But if you're not using your money the way you want to, how happy are you going to be? Right? So we need to use, right? So in terms of that tool, we need to think about that. And so we're always thinking about, hey, wait a minute, what's important to us today or tomorrow? Right? Is it more important that we do X today versus Y tomorrow? Right? Should I, again, as we talked about a couple of slides ago, is it more important to do this now or to have more money for, if you're a young parent, college later, for example? Is my happiness more important or is my child's? Right? If I have only a fixed limited amount of money and time that I can spend on something, is it more important for me to be happy with the money I use or make sure my kids are happy? Some people will answer that question differently. Experiences or possessions? Would you rather go out and have an amazing around the world vacation for a month? Or would you rather go out and buy the nicest car you can? All right, those things are important. Different people have different, those are different, have different levels of importance to different people. Consuming or investing? Would you rather go out and eat dinner every night? Or would you rather spend some time, make some dinner at home, maybe not eat as nice so you can put money away to do something else? Maybe it's investing in yourself with going and getting more coursework or putting it back into your business. And of course, there's the time or money conversation. You've got things to do around the house. You might be able to do them yourself, but at the same time, that's time you don't spend doing other things that you enjoy. And there might be someone else who you can pay to do those things for you more quickly and cheaply. So like I have an electrical outlet that I need to fix. I'm better off paying someone to come in and fix it rather than doing it myself because I might get electrocuted. But at the same time, I'm not good at it. It's better off that someone else does. I save my time and I spend a little money to do it. So the real question is, when you consider all the values you have, everything that's important to you, how well do you actually use your money in accordance with your values? And if you're not using your money in accordance with your values, again, it's likely you're not happy with it. And you're not happy with how things are going and you'd like to make a change and you might not be sure how to do it. So let's talk about how you can take all these things and set up financial wellness for the 2020s, for the new decade that we're in that began on January 1st, 2021. First, recognize we all make money mistakes. I've seen plenty of articles about this, and I've always believed this. We all make money mistakes, things that are suboptimal every day. We can't be optimal all the time. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Just let's hope they're small. Let's just hope those mistakes are small. All right. But we all make money mistakes. And we all have things that happen to us that force us to use money when we wouldn't otherwise want to or expect to. So I just had something happen with my son. He had a accident at school, right? He was playing in the yard and his glasses fell off his face and the frames broke. The frames are expensive. And, the issue wasn't, hey, the frames broke, it costs you money, but it's, hey, it's important to have a backup plan, some sort of emergency fund so that when it's something that you didn't expect to happen, an accident happens in the future, you're all prepared. And so that was the lesson for him. And it's the same for everyone. Of course, know and understand your money situation. So many times I'll go to people, how much money are you spending every month? I don't know. Well, what's your credit card bill? What's your housing cost? How much do you think you spend on food every month? And often I find people who are spending more money than they think they are, right? So knowing and understanding your money situation will help get you on the path to understanding, okay, now I know where I am, I can figure out where I'm going. Build your team. Whether it's you need a new CPA, you need an attorney, you need you need to make some changes in your employees or your marketing for your business. Build your team and get it where you want it to be. Make sure you're getting the right value for all those things and have them help you get where you want to go. Remember that it often feels harder to talk about personal money than business money. Remember I mentioned before, there might be people who's in their house, they said, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money with other people we don't know very well. It can feel harder to talk about personal money than business money, right? Can you go out and somebody says, how's business? You can go off for a long time, either saying it's great or either saying it's terrible. There's an old Jerry Seinfeld YouTube video with Norm Macdonald where he tells a joke about people, saying when someone says to another, how's business, and whether or not they go off and start talking all the time or they say it's great, right? It shouldn't feel harder if you talk about personal money. It should feel just as normal as anything else if that conversation comes that way. And I find it myself. A lot of times I end up talking to people for the first time and they hear what I'm doing and they're more than happy to talk to me about their personal situation. Sometimes they're just fishing for advice, for free advice, but nonetheless, right? A lot of times they don't go and talk to people who are outside of the financial space to talk about those issues. It's okay to talk to other people, people you trust about those issues. It's all right. And it shouldn't be harder than talking about what's going on in your business. So I want to close up by saying something, and especially when you're talking about issues that you're having with personal money or business money or whatever it might be, right? It's okay to ask questions. Smart people do. I've heard that a million times. Smart people ask questions. And we all kind of have fear, because we don't know and we're not certain about the information that's out there. Sometimes there's a lot of information that's out there, right? So we all have to think about, asking questions when we see all these things that seem real, but probably aren't. And so we're unsure. Smart people ask questions. But beyond that, if you really are having an issue and you really need to talk to somebody, brave people admit problems, whether that be to a professional or someone else. Because because in some ways, the three most powerful words in the English language are "I need help." And however you choose to get that help and the quality of that help obviously is up to you. But feeling free to ask questions and admit that you're having an issue will help you get where you want to go. With that, I hope you found today's episode interesting. I thought it was, I've talked about that a few times this year with some private audiences, and I wanted to share some of that with our listeners and our viewers. I thought it was important to do. I want to thank all of you for joining us today on Discuss with Russ. For those of you looking to reach out to me personally, if you have questions about the presentation or anything else, you can reach me at russell.rivera@voicewealth.com or give me a call at 646-630-0980. If you want to view this recording, or if you want to view our old episodes, you can certainly go to voicewealth.com/blog or view all of our videos on the Voice Wealth Management YouTube channel. We've got, our prior 20 episodes and of course, so many other videos that we've put out and produced over the years. Our next episode will focus on changes in the New York City real estate market with Jeff Goodman, host of Discovering New York with Jeff Goodman and Brown Harris Stevens Real Estate. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next time. And remember, it's your money and your future, and we can be your partner and your voice. Thank you again.